All right, all right, all right. What's up, folks? We alive, we alive, man. I need to make a music channel, man, because I really want to get on here and do some music. That's what I was end up doing before going live right now is listening, jamming to some music, jamming to some old Freddie Jackson, some Peebo Bryson, some great historical musicians, man, from out of America. But let's get into this one, man. I want to talk about the comparisons in history. We want to see how American history contrasts because the real stories that surround American history are going to be black, white, and native history, which a lot of native history ain't even documented as far as things that have been achieved and things that have been done to build America. So, in this history of America, you don't hear anything about Latinos, nobody from Mexico, nobody from anywhere in South America, nobody from China, nobody from Asia, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, none of that. This is about true black Americans and the contrasting of our history to that of whites. Because in this current administration, with this dude who is topsoil right now, but soon to be beneath soil, and Donald Zombie Mouth Trump and his administration and other little blonde head dingbats, boy built bitches over in the administration, uh, they go into museums, they look into the military academies, and they speak about this overemphasis of slave history, this overemphasis of oppression. But then when American history is to be taught, and especially American history is deeply entrenched with black folks in it, and when you want to really think about it, American history is black history. And this is nothing for new arriving immigrants such as Mark Sumner's in them, the ones who love to cry when they hear me state things that they have never heard in their lives about people who look like them. And this is just only the truth, nothing meant to be hateful, and in the stuff I speak, just only truth, just realism. And so we get into this history, man, and we ain't talking about how people, and this is for the little peon ant, pissant brained ass fools in here, but look at the rap history. We ain't talking no 2025 shit. And even we look at 2025 shit as far as the contrast between black history and 2025 and white history, there's still that stark difference in our history. And I can go into if we any of these cornballs like Mark Summer want to bring up, look at the deplorable conditions of the black cities and the need for the National Guards. Oh, I will rip any of y'all that come up with shit like that. Let me say what's up to y'all before we go in and cook on this one. Brandon says, oh shit, says Reg on one tonight. Man, just speaking some true American history, that history that they say, we don't want to learn critical race theory. You trying to make the young, innocent white kids who had nothing to do with it feel bad about it. And that's absolutely not. If they're going to learn history the same way we have to learn that shit as kids, and our history ain't just about you being a slave and all this other shit, but want to contrast these uh, two coexisting histories here in this country. Jay Finley says it's going to be some cooning and knee walking for Trump always. Says I know the usual suspects will be crying in the chat. Well, they may not cry because I ain't gonna be going too hard on Trump. And then Deuce Time says music should the topic. You forgot the word be. But no, I got to make a channel. You already know that, bro. Deuce Times. Brandon Watson says, "What's up to you, Deuce?" Brandon saying salute to myself. B Dub. Deuce to B Dub say salute. SF saying salute to myself in the chat. But when we go into this history, man, and you look at the history here in this nation, and the way they contrast is that on the side of blacks, we don't have this ill history, man. We have a history that has always been about what America tries to define itself as a warrior nation, a stand-up nation, a righteous nation, and a humane nation. When we should be some of the most retaliatory and evil and ill-ass people walking the surface of America, and we're not. We don't have this six-sided history about us. We're not people who came over here to explore lands to get out of a you know non-resourced land, a very poor land, to go and discover other lands and go about the slaughter of these people, to go about the development of certain minerals and all type of shit, and the fabricating of metals to fashion rounds and shit, to go about the slaughtering, capturing, and conquering of people's land. Black folks haven't got on that kind of shit. And even in our journeys around the world, that was always about trade, not about robbery and thievery or pirating. It was always about trade. It's about mutual agreement. If conflicts arose, it arose between the two people involved. It's no different than when you see our level of violence. We don't go on these level of violence when you see mass shooting where we're just going out targeting and taking out shit. If it's an issue between a neighboring faction or some other group, then it's specifically with that, not just taking motherfuckers out who have nothing to do with shit. So if it was any type of conflicts, even on African soil between two tribes, conflicts handled, societies move on. Not about a conquering and oppression. Now, black folks had got on this conquering of nations. Say we went on this conquering of European nations, and we went into Europe to explore it. We wouldn't have to go about this level of rape and pillaging and beating on people. The women would have been right on our nutsacks. You know, we've been right up over there. Let me see. Jashawn says, your homie says about to pop up in the chat. Oh, yeah, you already know. See, everybody know this nigga be cool walking, knee walking. Jashawn, it's already off top. But I ain't waiting to know Trump yet, so he ain't going to pop up yet. Or you probably talking about Mark Summers' ass. But so we went over to exploring these different lands over in Europe. Say we got on, we got the head start. We went to just marching and stomping, getting on our boats, going into Europe, saying we're going to steal. What the hell they got in Europe? That's why we ain't got that shit. Ain't no we going to go in there and, no, CJ, I got to start a new music channel. I got to do a new music channel. So it wasn't no thing about us just going over into Europe and we march over there. It been like we thought about it and then we looked in Europe and said, man, ain't a goddamn thing in this motherfucker except these old, what's Trump mama name? Hold on, let me find out what's Trump mama name because I got to add that bitch in. Maybe get one of these Trump supporters to pop out. Hold on, what's Trump mom name? You know I got to throw me some disrespect to Trump, especially when I'm contrasting this history because that's the bitch that got beat up. Let me see. Trump mom, her name probably Gertrude or some shit. Her name is Mary Ann McLeod. That's her name. So we be over in Europe trying to explore some shit, looking for some old mineral rich shit, and they ain't got shit. So then we walk off the boat, step on the Europe, and immediately the Mary Ann bitches be on our nuts. Them bitches get the cooking in them little goddamn huts or where the hell they had their little houses in. They get the cooking for us, trying to get to our black hearts. The way to a black man's heart is his stomach. And so you go get invited to the Mary Ann Trump bitch house, and she come trying to feed you some porridge, and you say, God damn, bitches, you trying to kill me? And then that's what ignite that shit. And it's really because you eating this food she done prepared you. It ain't got no lick of herb in it. It ain't got no lick of seasoning in it. And it tastes like shit. You think the bitch was trying to kill you. The bitch that made you some whatever kind of plant with mayonnaise sauce in it. And you fucking just think the bitch trying to poison you. See, that was going on. They had the plague and all that shit. That's probably why they was dying over there and shit. Why they ran over here. It was them cooking from them broads over there. Cooking motherfucker mayonnaise, porridge and shit. Spinach with mayonnaise in it. All type of old nasty ass shit. They brought that shit over here. That's why everybody dying from the fucking food. So that was the only thing. We say, hey, Marianne, hold the plate, bitch. Just bust it open. I'm about to stick the tube in you, bitch. Yeah, that's what you about to get. So that'll be our exploration. We ain't about to encave or enslave none of you motherfuckers, not make you chattel. None of that shit. We just came over to get our dick sucked and we back on our boats. The winds done changed. Blowing back to Africa. Gotta go, bitch. So it'd be simple as that. We wouldn't be doing none of that capturing, taking over your shit. Now it turns differently. When Europeans exploration is they come over there, they see big booty ass black bitches. These bitches know how to season up an elephant. cook wildebeest. It's all type of variety of shit on this land. And so these motherfuckers come over and say, God damn, we ain't got none of that shit. I'm about to capture this shit. Maybe I'll take this goat back to this old non-cooking ass bitch. And maybe she can cook it and she still don't cook it right. She just boil this shit in water or throw it on the fire, burn the shit. It ain't got no goddamn season on it. So he said, fuck that. Let's steal these niggas along with it. Bring them recipes along with that shit. So we get it like that. So that was a contrasting in the history. So they go over to these land. We go to their land. We look, we trade with these people, trade with that people, and we look here. Niggas ain't got shit, man. They get the fuck up out of here. That's why we left Europe alone. We didn't even know. We looked in that shit, wasn't shit there. We left. Europeans in them built the boat, built some guns, went on Africa's all type of shit in this motherfucker. The pyramids over here, all the damn variety of animals and shit, land rich with all type of minerals and shit. You fucking got diamonds, gold, silver, nickel, copper, everything you can think of. And they said, you know what? We need this shit. And then they come over to America, the same shit with the native people. They ain't over here just tearing shit apart on fuck shit, destroying the planet. Now, with them in our history, we don't have a history of destroying the environment, of poisoning the waters, of sickening the people through food, of the creation of once upon a time non-existent diseases, even though we have gone about curing diseases, but there have been a lot when you can trace the histories. We don't have that shit. We have had history where we have always been up against these crazy motherfuckers, the wicked ones. I ain't talking about all whites. But amongst the wicked, this is what I'm talking about. This is the lessons that teach to Donald Trump-minded people and the idiots who fall along with the lines of thinking like a Donald Trump and talking about there's an overemphasis in slavery in the history. Because the history is American history. You motherfuckers came over here with that wicked Hitler shit. You do it to each other over in your countries. And that's what leads to a lot of them come over here. It's attempting the Hitler ass shit, get their ass whipped, and they flood over here. He says, we don't bomb. Say exactly. I'm going to get into all that shit because today is October 1st, too. And if anybody can give me an answer on what is significant about October 1st. Oh, man, I got Tom cooking today. What is the significance of today's date? Something occurred on this date, and it's a very significant date. And it's a date that don't involve black folks. It don't involve black folks. So if anybody can give me, let me see who pays attention to history here. We got any historians in here? Anybody intelligent? We should all be young, wise, intelligent people on all sides. So we're going to get into that. It's October 1st, and there's a significance in that date. Let me see if any of y'all can think of it. Give me 1 second. Let me go back in the chat. Let me stay along with y'all and get back to what we're talking about. And then let me see. Picasso and Rolling. He says, keep up the good reading, Reggie. Salute everyone. And then Brent Watson says, yo, Picasso says you bugging. Says Reggie says not reading. Man, Picasso don't know the difference between talking and reading because his talking so fucked up it sounds like he reading some shit. Picasso and Rolling. Picasso says somebody got to motivate this dummy. Damn, I'm a dummy now. CJ said West Coast Wednesday is over. Says that Deuce Times. No, I'm gonna make another music channel. I gotta make sure that shit ain't linked to no channel in case I lose a channel again. Picasso says I'm joking. And he says, good topic. Yes, indeed. He says, what's at the bottom of my stomach is connected to my heart. And then Picasso says, I don't even know what the topic is. Says free Trump. Damn, y'all can't think. Y'all can't read. Says, I went to a barbarian restaurant in Virginia. Says, and they served chicken with peaches. I would have threw that shit at the goddamn chef. Says, I thought to myself, says, that's Europeans like this, man. I mean, that shit is stupid. Like, even when I seen, like, what was that shit the fool did? Country Wayne did a skit. And he was talking about the motherfucker brought to a potluck some potato salad. And that shit had raisins in it, man. That shit had me dying like a motherfucker. That shit had me rolling like a motherfucker. But nobody can answer what's the significance of today's date. Today is October 1st. Which is a day marked in sadness for Las Vegas. It's a day marked in sadness for Las Vegas. And once again, in our history, we don't have a history of committing these type of acts. And these type of acts of like October 1 are acts of treason. The Oklahoma City shit, we have never attacked the government without you know purpose. There's been always a reason behind blacks needing to stand against the system, having to go up against certain things deemed as authority and shit, because these things have always attacked, targeted, and focused on us and try to compromise us. Whites have never dealt with that shit. And it makes absolutely no sense for their disdain for shit, their anger, bitterness, and even the wickedness of some, the mindset to that. This is not the thing put in with all white folks. It's going into the ones who have issues with what they find being taught in the history and want the whitewash shit. Because if we were to go about teaching the real history of what they want to talk, since they want to, pull back away from slavery, then teach it from y'all, and it's just nothing but wicked shit. You want to teach your history and not talk about now black history. Let's talk about how the fucking planet is fucked up. The threat posed to this damn planet due to the destruction of the ozone layer, the melting of snow caps, rising of oceans, the droughts that have taken place, the warming of the goddamn planet. Like, come on, we can go into history if we want to stay away from this history, which makes some people feel bad and sad about themselves and what has been done centuries ago, which is a lie. But we can shift away that. We can shift to what's currently going on. The threats posed to the world by mainly European nations in this threat of nuclear annihilation. Like, come on, we could go on and fucking on. And then once again, we go into these things like AIDS. When did AIDS come about? Because I almost wanted to do this shit because I remember Nas saying that shit, and I want to do research on that shit about Rockefeller. Man, he dissing that motherfucking shit on, because I was listening to music today. And I said, let me do that shit, because this type of shit I like to do, it offends chump ass people. And it was about, remember Nas talking about y'all chose the name y'all company after. It says Rockefeller died of AIDS. That's who you chose the name your company after. So I wanted to check that shit out and look that shit up. But then I'm also going into the creation of that shit and how he got that. Because these are things that never fucking existed on this planet. Is these type of things. Were these things created by fucking by others in an attempt to go after us? Let me see. Here is this dude named Rayford. Is this dude American teenager? Wait, no, this ain't the Rockefeller dude. Hold on. Wait, why did it pop that up? And let me see. Okay, that was false. I don't know why Nas put that up. So I got something that said that was false. It says related. It says primarily related to the AIDS caused by HIV. It says the first identified in the early 80s. Longer. Okay, so no, it ain't him. I don't know why Nas put that shit. So it's probably some fake shit from him. So he's talking about Nelson Rockefeller, the former governor. I had to look into that because I want to check that out. Says the Black Plague. Says, but no, I want to check that out. Hold on, let me see Nelson Rockefeller, because they did give me an old Rockefeller. Let me see. Let me type that in, because we'll pull that shit up on history. Because I was just tripping off of that. Like when you look at things like AIDS and all that shit, and about the existence, was this shit brought over there by Europeans as well? So it said he did not die of AIDS neither. It says there is no credible evidence or historical record linking his death to AIDS. Rockefeller is prominent. So not him neither. I don't know why Nas put that, but I'm gonna do more research. I want to really look into that shit. But when you look at this history, man, you have nothing but history of us trying to redefine, reshape what America is, trying to go about what the identity of America. And I think America, to really find its way, find its path, is it has to be taught through true Black history, not this interference that has been done on many Black folks, to where you see Black folks acting in such an embarrassing manner, acting un-Black to them and untrue to themselves. But it's what's true to real Blacks and real elevated Black, real conscious thinking Black, righteous thinking Black, you'll see where the country has to be led. And I think that's the one thing that is missing from America is Black leadership, really diversified leadership. And that's mainly to where there's a prominence in Black representation across the spectrum, not just for Black folks, but for this country. It's because throughout our history and through our fight in this country, you have always seen us overcome, enduring shit, never really being broken, even though there's mental scarring from that shit. But the overall scale of the conflict, Black folks have always endured and overcome and achieved, and then have these chumps move the goalpost on shit. But never once have we come about to destroying anything. We have always rebuilt. We have never destroyed. While others have destroyed, we has always rebuilt, rehealed, and reshaped this shit, reshaped this planet, reshaped the meaning of everything. While others have always had noted history of being so destructive. And then it goes into these stories of when we speak biblically about shit, of those who present this religion as it being of God and what Christ represent. You motherfuckers have been more closely linked to this fucking devil that is depicted in the stories out of this damn book. And so that's something I think people have been blinded to and have not woken up to it. But in this war, even in this war, during the capturing, bringing people over to this land, capturing people who are already in this land, forcing them into this new wave of labor to increase the wealth of people who have newly arrived over here, who have taken over and conquered this land, dominating this land, and creating a system, an economic system, and to building it off the backs of others. Never once did these people come in here with the intentions of just destroying this. They come into a system they have no idea about, have no understanding of what's going on. And then when new generations of them are birthed, they birthed into something that is what the world appears to them is being a normalized world, being tricked into this shit and having this understanding. And this is the understanding of the people who manipulate and create the system is we'll get the ones who we bring over as adults, we'll whoop them into shape. They'll have children. Their children will be born into this. It'll be normalize it, make life fun for them. And then boom, we shock them, bring them into this shit. Next generation. And then we'll alter what freedom is supposed to look like. And it is where we have these doubling of standards in this fucking nation. But there ain't nothing wicked that has been brought to this land is that of Black folks. But it's mighty strange of how this shit has been uprooted, twisted, narrative reshaped to where everything that is observed as being negative is put on with a Black face to represent it. And that just shows the ignorance of the overall world as well, especially of people who come from European worlds and even people who've been conquered by Spaniards and shit. Spanish speaking people of the Spanish speaking world, their ignorance. People of the Asian world, and their ignorance when they come over here. Let me keep up with y'all in the comments here. And then Picasso says my uncle's birthday. No, today for October 1st is the day of that shooting. Today is the day of that mass shooting that occurred out here. That wasn't conducted by a Black man. That Black people don't have these thoughts of conducting ill shit like that. And then when you have a failed government that doesn't highlight and focus that shit. Just like today, some people, not many people even care about the day anymore in Vegas. Then nobody celebrate that shit. The news stations out here try to highlight that shit and remind people that today is October 1st, which was at some old country music festival, which I don't listen to country music, never thought of country music, so I don't think about that goddamn show. And I have it's a conspiracy, but I have a great idea of the reason behind that guy opening fire on them motherfuckers. But when you look at that, this evil ass act was taken place by a white guy who also achieved great amount of wealth in this country. And then in somewhere in his mind, he takes it to where that shit doesn't mean anything. Maybe he didn't feel happy with the way in which he went about making this money. And the fact that even with his money, it never went into a white woman's hand. It never recirculated back into a white family. It went into a foreign woman's family and into her hands. As this white guy became fed up with this wicked, twisted ass system. And that he enacted his rage on people who look like him, people who have been privileged in this land that look like him. And he tried to annihilate as many as possible. And that's the reason behind the police department out here. The guy who headed that shit, who's now the governor of that shit, and probably read that motherfucker's manifesto or his reason behind that shit, and they have stayed tight-lipped on it. And this is the reason why other crazy-ass wicked acts inside large gatherings have been threatened and even acted upon by people who look like the people in attendance to that shit. You don't find that type of behavior from black folks. Like, you may have some sick motherfuckers amongst us, but overall, we don't do that kind of sick shit. America would be a better place if it was for the thinking of real black folks, not these foolish, deranged, dumbass, young, lost, misguided young folks, but true thinking of black folks who think peacefully, think solution-based, thinks of ways of re-healing and resolving shit. Asia Mav says, salute. Asia Mav says, the Panama Canal Day. Nah, y'all niggas don't keep up with history or current events. I know Boxy says, what's happening, brother? That's why I always be saying, y'all don't be knowing a lot of shit and to get engaged in conversations on a lot of shit. I know Boxy says, peace, brothers and sisters in the chat. Brandon Watson says, he's talking about Nelson Rockefeller, says the former governor of New York. No, I'm reading that shit. They say he in there. I'm going to find out which Rockefeller it is. And then I'm going to do a damn live stream on that shit. Where did that motherfucker catch it? But even when you look at this shit, of looking of what has been done, of AIDS being brought into this, all this study, and even when you look at these motherfuckers and how wicked they have got in war, of using germs and viruses and turn them into biological aid weaponry, and where there's a threat upon that shit of what we seen with the pandemic. I don't even know they allow you to say COVID anymore without these motherfuckers acting weird on these platforms. With COVID is another form of a biological fucking warfare. And even when I was in the military, that was always the thing of when I was going through training, like I'm going through basic training and shit. And I was always worried, like, damn, is a nigga gonna die from a nuke? These niggas teaching us about if a nuke go off, the things you do, how to survive this shit, don nuclear fucking chemical gear. They got me in fucking courses on dead on mines, how to disassemble mines, how to detonate them. Then I get to where I'm on tanks with all type of mines. I'm like, these fools trying to kill my black ass. What the hell is this shit about? And then you being taught about like chemical warfare and shit. And the other reason for designing some of the gear that we wear, when you have to don mop gear and all that shit, is the fact that now this has have been some of the things. Even in World War I, they were doing that shit. If you study history in these wars, you have to study wars to understand the twisted history of these motherfuckers and why dummies like Donald Trump want to remove what is being taught and the oppression of black folks in this country. And the reason why we've made these strides of changing things. The reason why they cry DEI and all this shit. And the reason behind it. Because when you have the gifted and talented black folks who achieve way greater than these old privileged silver spoon chumps that these fools think supposed to fulfill these spots, is the reason why America can't achieve shit. And why America's so neck and neck and passed by other fucking nations. It's because the qualified black motherfuckers get overlooked by chumps who have been allowed to create this private sector of mirroring what they are. And then when you realize the shit they doing, they don't even do shit to accumulate where the wealth is. The flow of wealth in this country is sick because the cash flow is retarded. People accumulating wealth through buying and trading stocks. That's some of the dumbest fucking shit I ever heard in my life. Or you go gamble to try to make an accumulation of a one large sum payout of money. Like this shit, the system is stupid. We don't even produce some shit. We look at the other wicked side of this shit and about how America's became this service type industry, or our nation. Is the fact we have removed all of the manufacturing in this country, all the real work in this country. Before we start having the wicked, twisted, nerdy motherfuckers and the wealthy investors who invest into the robotic technology of shit, that black folks who start to achieve great wealth. And this is the thing where I be like, when people regurgitate that dumb shit about integration was the worst thing that happened to black people, I'll be like, niggas don't be knowing what the fuck they talk about. They regurgitate shit and other things. Black folks start moving into these urban settings where all the jobs are located and shit. This is a hub of the American economy. And start finding these jobs and achieving, greater access and access to fucking income, home ownership for the first time in fucking history of a lot of families and shit. And then what started to happen is whites who sit at the top of the corporate ladder, looking from high off the perch of some sky rise, looking down and seeing where black folks are going, black folks pulling into the job parking lot in the brand new Cadillacs, brand new Buicks and Lincolns or whatever. I don't know, big ass Lincolns and all that shit, having things. Their kids are dressing nice. Their households are good. He said, Jim, Bill, we have to break this shit. The blacks are coming out. They're out competing old Billy Bob, and Jim Bob. They're out competing them. And we hate to lose them, but somewhere far in some other land, we cannot pay them people shit. Receive the same level of manufacturing, if not greater. Their nations will push them to work harder for us just to bring these plants over there. Let's go about it, do it. Because one thing we can't stand to see is the Negro coming up. And their kids, and we're the reason why these kids have started integrating into these formerly white schools. And now we have to uproot that shit and start building suburban areas for our good old white families to separate from these people. Because one thing, we can't let our little Sally Mays and Annabelles realize that they can compete amongst these people. We got to separate it. And that's the shit that was happening. And closing plants to send the motherfuckers over there, and now further raising the black unemployment shit. Because black folks went out there to go and put in that work. Always come from an agricultural, backgrounds, hard labor backgrounds. So there's nothing to go into them plants, start making money, and then people start getting jealous and wanting to tear shit apart. Because along with the jobs and the money that came with it, start coming political clout. More black mayors and this and that shit, stronger voices politically, ability to affect elections and all that shit. They broke that shit out of wickedness, twisted ass wickedness. And then they have sent that shit over there for so long to these other nations and the Chinas and all that shit, trying to open the door and shit to get an understanding of how are the Americans able to achieve these things. Let these retarded dummies bring all that shit over there, teach us, unintentionally teach us while cheating their own citizens. And we'll learn to do it. And in 30 and 40 years, we'll kick these stupid motherfuckers out of our countries. And we'll begin to develop that shit. They thought they had fools and slaves over in China. And now these fools have outproduced us. Have found better ways of producing shit, manufacture, all because Americans send plants, build plants over there, and show these motherfuckers the ways like the retarded dumbasses that they are. And now they sit here crying, and now they sit here worrying because now they can't dominate and bully and push around these nations that were once poor. Because these motherfuckers have effectively used this shit and spread that to the rest of their damn society. Asian Matt says Bruce Lee filmed the Octagon on September 1st. He says Nas is talking about Leroy Rockefeller. Says he lived in Queensbridge projects. Nah, this fool making this shit up. Says the first black satellite says launched in space October 1st. Y'all niggas don't be knowing nothing. And then Brandon says facts. Says I know boxing. Says I just looked it up. Says Leroy, man, that got it. Leroy Rockefeller. Hold on, let me type that nigga name is because I'm gonna get down to what the hell this Rockefeller that had the virus and shit. Let me see it. Leroy Rockefeller. Let me see. Because it keeps showing me this fool named Robert Redford. Leroy is not widely recognized figure associated with this. Says it's possibly confused with another. Nope, it ain't giving me that neither. See, it ain't none of that shit. I see some fool named Robert Radford. Let me see. Yeah, you gotta get down. Because I was always wondering why Nas had put that shit in there because it made me think I'm gonna do a topic on that shit. of how this fool contracted that shit. And I see some other foods says that had that shit. But when you think about this shit, like when you look at when back in the 80s, when this shit was a growing thing, like even before Magic and Easy and them had this shit, you start hearing about all that shit in the 80s. Like, what the fuck is this shit? I'm pretty sure older people before us ain't never heard that shit. Then you was hearing it was all throughout Africa. It's like, yeah, you know them people went over there and try to spread that shit amongst them people. Because when they were all over there doing these slave trade and conquering these people's lands, it wasn't none of that shit over there. They brought one of the most wicked ass scientific experimenting motherfuckers and created a new disease. And then Brandon Watson says, facts, I know boxing. And the Picasso says, I was looking up Cambodian history. Cambodian history says, and saw there was a time, says they dealt with genocide 50 plus years ago. Says that's not long ago. Yeah, you ain't never heard of Khmer Rouge? That's why you have Cambodians over here. I was talking about seeing, because I used to live in Long Beach. They have a huge population of Cambodians. They only came over there because of Khmer Rouge. The leader over there was killing them for some wicked ass reason, destroying what he's killing. He was killing, like, he was a stupid ass dude. What's his name? Damn, what's that fool leader over there in Cambodian? Damn, hold on, that's an important name. Hold on, let me pull his name. Let me see, Cambodian. What's the name? Bodot. Wait, Cambodian genocide. Wait, what's his name? His name was Bodot or some shit. Let me see. Pol Pot, that was his name. It was a dude, a leader over there named Pol Pot was over there killing people. He killed like 1 million people. But see, they don't highlight their genocide. They'll highlight the Holocaust and all that shit. And then who knows? The CIA probably had some involvement in that shit, because I think this shit occurs after the Vietnam War. So ain't no telling. And I believe America has something to do with that, because America started to kind of engage in that Vietnam shit and escalate the Vietnam War, even going into Cambodia for shit. So ain't no telling if the CIA placed this dude into power and went about the killing of its old leadership, its old systems, and all that other shit. I know boxing, then they fake like they giving these people a safe haven here in America and shit. And I know boxing says to Brandon Washington and Roland, and they don't do nothing for the Cambodians, because Cambodians are too dark of an Asian and shit. And then Asian Math says the first white chick successfully oh, you got jokes. I'm skipping the jokes. And he says the Black Panther Party says it was founded in October, says, but it was the 15th. Says, I thought you were talking about that. No, I was talking about when I'm contrasting this history and people want to bring in modern day shit. Today, this fool end up blasting all those people out there, probably for their beliefs. Being with country music association with that Second Amendment shit. All these people faking like tough guy cowboys, want to be tough, be listening to that old punk ass country music, acting all tough. We gonna do this and that. No, boy said, okay, we're gonna see how tough they are. I'm gonna get the bussing, see how many of these people pull their pieces out, stand up, look where the thread at. All the motherfuckers ran like hoes. And that's what that dude was showing them. Jay Finley said he was gonna show how him being a white guy allows him to constantly go back and forth between Vegas and Mesquite, bring trunks of fucking weapons, bring them up, even have white people to bring it to him. And he knew it would be surveilled. So when they do the investigation after he is long gone and dead, they'll watch him as he kindly, gingerly skips through security, being a white guy, fitting in, and feeling so safe, relaxed, and their security guard is down. And just, oh, yeah, this is just good old, what's his fool name? I can't think of that dude's name off the top of my head. But just let him on in. Let him bring all it is. Will he need a double suite? Oh, give him the 2 rooms. That motherfucker MacGyvered up, cameras rigged out the outside of that shit, bolting doors. Like, man, come on, man. It says dropping facts. Yes, indeed, Jay Finley. Picasso says when I was in school, starting in 1970, says the U.S. allowed foreign people to outsource the American teachers, plus gave them orders, says, to make sure we didn't learn enough to avoid the prison pipe. Man, you making that shit up. When I was growing up, I don't remember a foreigner as a teacher at all. I don't remember that shit. The only time I start seeing foreigners was when the Mexican population around the LAUSD start to really fucking skyrocket. When that shit really ballooned in like the early 90s. Then you start getting them teachers who had to, teach these people English translating from Spanish. And then Asian Math says raisins were added to potato salad. Says by Becky Crocker. Says cousin of the infamous Betty Crocker. Oh, these fools got jokes. Says facts. Says a lot of people are uninformed, especially the knee walkers. A lot of knee walkers and new age black folks are so uninformed of history. They get taught only the most negative shit about themselves. They buy into this shit being taught to people with a real fucked up history, who try to hide that history, who don't want to see your history even displayed in museums, placed on shelves and books. And you have such an ignorant fool to history, such as Trump and the rest of the minions, underage minions. See, Trump is such an Epstein-ass motherfucker that everybody in his administration is a young motherfucker. Everybody's a young motherfucker. And it just reminds him of the island. It's all this new administration is to him. It reminds him, said, I miss old Jeffrey. Matter of fact, when I get back in there, I'm going to create a great memory of the island. I'm going to bring all type of little young girlies up in here, young little treats. And then I'm going to bring in old Cabana boy, Pete Hegseth. Yeah, he's a little Cabana boy. Remember, we used to fondle him. That's what he brought in that motherfucker. And that's what this administration did. It is a fucking Epstein orgy. And he fucking all you weird dummies who voted for him. And that's what you're getting. A dummy who don't know history. He don't know shit but how to be a molester. That's all he is. An old chest-ass motherfucker. And he robbing people of their ability to learn. And matter of fact, he committing some Khmer Rouge shit. You see the threat he has on education? That same thing that Khmer Rouge did. Burn books, go after his professors, go after his scholars. And that's why the nation is dumbed down and retarded. And that's the thing Trump is trying to do. Except he know he can't do that Khmer Rouge shit here. The American people, unlike other countries who've been led by dictators, and this is the danger of black people not being so engaged on shit, as we have such a great overflow of an immigrant population that is flooding into our country, not from Mexico. I'm talking these fools from all out of Europe, all out of fucking India, all out of some of the Asian countries who are used to being under the rulership of dictators. One ruler dictating everything about their lives. And they come in here and they begin to accept that shit. Hell to the fucking no. You look at Trump administration, he got old motherfucking Mahatma Punjabi running the motherfucking FBI. The Slurpee Bureau. That motherfucking Indian motherfucker is so Oreoed in his brain. It is crazy. You look at a picture of that motherfucker, he looked like he done rolled in mud and shit and really thinking he from motherfucking Norway and shit. In his mind, the image of himself is Norway. But they come from where they've been so mind fucked and he been fucked his damn self. And then when you look at Patel, and you look at the history of his family been on some old COINTEL wicked shit. That's why fucking Idi Amin kicked their whole ass up out that country. And rather than going back to Europe, going back to India, they over in Europe and shit before they make their way over here. And then Jay Finley says a lot of people are uninformed, especially the knee walkers. Knee walkers are always uninformed. And then Picasso says I didn't know this as a kid, but after college, American history, I learned about it. What the hell? This nigga writing says I didn't know this as a kid, but after college, American history, I learned about it. Says it's true. Nigga, what's true? You should have learned writing, goddammit. Says we were targeted way back then. Way back when? You don't put you just write. What the fuck? That ain't how you write, dude. Like, god damn. You niggas is crazy. This nigga in his 50s writing like this and shit. God damn it. And then Asian Math says, and in-laws of Billy Cracker. Says, Jay Finley says, true. Says, COVID is a natural. Yeah, that's just some chemical warfare shit. You got these motherfuckers sitting in labs, messing with these germs and shit and finding ways to weaponize them, strengthen them, and all that other shit. Countries use that to attack each other, weaken each other economically. Jay Finley says, and No Hope says if we get nuked, man, I swear that shit gonna happen. Man, when we was in the army, man, that's what we was trained. I used to be worried, like, damn, why we learning that shit? But then it's the other crazy shit that a lot of people forget in history. Cause our parents don't teach shit. The parents who went through that shit, their mind is so erased and shit. That's why they don't teach shit. And parents be wondering, the school didn't teach us how to balance a checkbook. The school didn't teach us how to buy a house, how to manage money, how to budget. Well, you should have been teaching your own fucking kids that shit. Every day in the house, you paying a bill to keep roofs over their head, to buy clothes for them and shit. How the fuck you ain't fucking teaching this shit? Deuce Time, here go Deuce Time, the old motherfucking conspiracy theory, jab hating motherfucker. He laughing his ass off, says now COVID is a chemical weapon. Deuce, you better go get your fucking knowledge up on shit. So what is COVID to you? That's what I'm gonna say it is. It's spread around the world. That's what I'm gonna say it is. World ever been hit with that shit like that? We got countries that are odd with each other. Shit originate out of China. I mean, come on. The fuck? Out of one of these labs, they fucked up. Shit got out. There's other dangerous shit. But let me focus back where the comments is. But that's why I just be tripping, like with the fact that back in the days, during the what is the height of the Cold War? Cold War is from when is the development of the nuke? So the nuclear weapon, Russia gets this shit. Maybe the height of the 60s and all that shit. The 60s through the 70s, probably ending in the 80s after Gorbachev pulled the wall down shit. There's a constant threat of nuclear warfare, annihilation. The fucking Russians try to build a bomb in Cuba and shit to get access because they ain't have all these fucking intercontinental missiles and shit. The motherfucking bomb was right off the coast of Florida and shit. And so these fools will be having in drills with parents from the 60s and 70s of having to duck under tables and shit. In California, we was doing an earthquake drill, but the same earthquake drills, the shit they had to do about if a nuclear war kicked off. And they may have to bring that shit back on the truck. Not only do your kids now in this new age have to learn how to hide from not school shooters, but white kids who stormed the campus mad because somebody says something to them in video game chat. They're mad because the girls don't like them. Somebody teased them and they've been learning how to hunt fucking squirrels and shit. And they know they could take daddy's shotgun and all that shit. Walk right through security, little tiny ass fucking kid. Walk right through school security with a big long ass rifle. Nobody check them. Have a great day today. Ace that test. Little Reggie, you fucking go to detention. You can watching your little black ass. I wish you wasn't even at the school. Why you can't go down on Martin Luther King Boulevard to go to that school over there? Oh, hey, little Jimmy. Nice long rifle you got there. Yeah, you protected us against these little braid head wearing motherfuckers. So that shit. So not only do they have to learn how to fucking protect themselves from school shootings, the kids may also have to learn to duck under tables from the nukes. And then man, come on, man. This shit is crazy. And then Auto Box, it says Asian Math. And then Jay Finley says, what is MOP gear? MOP is that military shit. Hold on, let me pull this shit up. The acronym for that shit, the military, everything is acronym. Let me see. MOP gear. I don't know oh, that's what it is. The acronym is Mission Oriented Protective Posture. Let me show this shit. We had to put this shit on. Even when we went to NTC, we trained out there in Mojave Desert, man. We had where they had an alert go off, simulating like we've been hit with a chemical weapon and shit. And then we donned this hot ass shit. And mind, when we was in the Mojave Desert, it was already 120 degrees out in that mug. And then you draped in all this shit. There's rubber boots that go over the top of that shit because you want to make sure you don't contaminate the clothes you're wearing. So you put these rubber boots over the top of your boots, these old thick ass pants with like some charcoal type lining in them and shit. There's a big jacket that go over that shit. There's this long ass mask with that shit, and then you put your Kevlar over that shit. There's a nozzle for you to drink water through this shit. Oh, let me exit out. Damn, what I do? Oh, let me see if they got some more pictures of it. And then they spray you down to decontaminate you once you come up out of that shit. This is all the shit they think about the threats of war. That shit is crazy. Like, just think about it, like, fuck, if you go to war, you gotta think about all that crazy shit because nation's gonna do it. And ain't no nation gonna fight no fair ass war against these motherfuckers. Jay Finley says people really think they're going to win the lottery. Says are the suckers that fund the lottery. Man, don't say that shit because I'll be playing that fucking lottery, homie. I'll be like, shit, you can't win if you don't play. But shit, I throw me some money on the ticket because I don't go to casinos. So let me play my lottery. I might hit that motherfucker and then make you eat your words. Agent Math says the first white chick says successfully created an account / profile on Black Planet Social. Oh, your jokes is corny, Agent Math. Steph says, be well, says salute to the chat family, says who's in this evening, says Agent Math. And then I know Boxer says facts, Slim says China reverse engineer, says all the technology we had producing those factories. And Japan used to do that shit. Japan used to do the same thing with our products and devices. And America used to try to get on them, talking about fucking like radios. They reverse engineer that shit, then created greater audio equipment and shit. Just start bypassing America. America's sending shit over there, refusing to do shit in-house because they don't want to employ black folks. And black folks getting ahead. Black folks have major government jobs. Then what becomes a threat out of the same mouths of these type of wicked ass people? Government too large. And then some stupid ass black people buy into that shit. Yeah, the government too large. The government too this. Then you hand the motherfucking country over to these old wealthy ass people, faking like the government is inefficient as shit. Then these people get in charge and do nothing but hire a bunch of blonde hair, dumb looking bitches and then they whole ass kids. And then just huddle all the money up there. And then don't want to pay people shit. Tell you work hard. All right, fuck, let the poor people compete for the jobs. We'll fire him, make him expendable, bring another little poor dummy in this motherfucker. Like, people are just dumb and been dumb for fucking generations, bro. Don't see the tricks being played on them. And then Steph says, Leroy Rockefeller, oh, yeah, no, these niggas making up names. Says, just learn something new. Now, we still ain't figured out who is the Rockefeller. I think Nas I wonder why Nas said that shit in that rhyme. It got to be some truth to that shit. Maybe the Rockefellers had that shit removed from the damn internet. Agent Matt says, I'm skipping that shit, them corny ass jokes. I know Boxer says, my bad, Slim says his name was, oh yeah, you got jokes too. And then Jashawn says a lot of dudes from the early 1900s and the late 1800s says had syphilis. Says, but they didn't have modern technology to cure it. Says before they got it. You know what? Wait, who was the big nose motherfucker? Is he a Rockefeller? That fool, he was one of the wealthy dudes from back in the early 1900s. And he had a big fucked up nose. Hold on, what's this dude? Wealthy man. I'm gonna just type wealthy man with a fucked up nose. I think he had that shit. Wealthy, and he owned a lot of pictures. I think he may be wealthy man with fucked up nose. Is he a Rockefeller? Hey, Brandon, you up in here? I think it's J.P. Morgan. That's probably who it is. J.P. Yeah, that is J.P. Morgan. This fool, I think, had syphilis on his nose. That's who it is. And then they got big ass buildings after this fool, J.P. Morgan. I think he's from that Gilded Age of America. Look at this fool face. Hold on, that fool talking about syphilis and shit. Let me see. Come on, goddamn computer. Damn, it won't pull up this fool shit. Look at this fool nose, man. He had that shit on his nose. Look at this motherfucker. Look at this fool shit. His shit like a dodo bird beat, man. Look at that motherfucker, man. Look at this fool shit. And guess what? Them old dirty bitches still was gonna get him Pooh Daddy. That fool pull up in this shit. And bitch like he got bread. They about to let him smash with his big ass, bumpy ass nose and shit. And they didn't have the doctors to cure that shit off his nose. Look at this shit. Wait, no, they gotta show a picture with all them with the nose looking like it was gonna fall off. Hold on, let me pull up a Wikipedia on this fool and about what was going on with his nose. Hold on. Let me see. Here we go. Yeah, see, and that's another thing people need to study is the Gilded Age. Or you can watch documentaries on the Gilded Age. And that's the shit that you hear this Trump's creating a new fashion of this Gilded Age. And this is where you see huge disparities in economics. And the Gilded Age is also what crashed this country. You motherfuckers better learn your goddamn history. Let me see. Where this fool? Let me go into his shit about his nose. It gotta be something on his nose. Why this nigga nose look like that? Oh, let me see. Yeah, this fool is wealthy and still, them little nasty whores still probably giving it up to that fool. He's drop a coin out his pocket. Let me see. Panic, criticism, investigation. Nah, what's up with the damn disease on his nose? Let me see. Look at all these hoes he had. Wait, where is this shit? Oh, appearance, says Morgan. Says Morgan often had a tremendous physical effect on people. Says one man visited him. I ain't looking at how people felt. Them niggas is hoes. Say, okay, here it is. His deformed nose. There it go. This fool had a deformed nose, was due to a disease called rhinophammy. Look at this nasty shit. That's what this rich nigga had on his face, homie. That's what that fool had, man. JP Morgan shit looked nasty. That fool had the rhino. Oh, wait, it didn't go to it. My bad, folks. Y'all ain't even seen what I'm looking at. It's on that shit. Hold on, let me show y'all JP Morgan face. Let me show y'all this fool face. This is what JP Morgan had. And the holes are still on his nuts. He had this shit on his face. That's how JP Morgan nose look. Fool walking around with a billy with what's this shit called? Rhinoplasty or some shit. Yeah, rhinophammy. I can't even pronounce that shit. Whatever, however you say that. Rhinophammy. Yeah, that fool's walking around with disease on his nose. So let me see him go back to the part with his nose. So he says he was physically large, says with massive soldiers, piercing eyes, and a purple nose. His nose was purple because he got that defect. He got degenerate genetics. His genetics all the way fucked up. And it says he was known to dislike publicity. Says and hated being photographed. Says without his permission. Says as a result of his self-consciousness. Says of his Rosia, how do you say that shit? Whatever it means. Says all of his professional portraits were retouched. So that's what was appearing in them other photos where he's showing his big nose big but looking smooth. They didn't really show that rhinophammy. Says his deformed nose was due to the disease called rhinophammy. Says a condition causing development of a large bulbous nose associated with granulomatous. Says infiltrations commonly due to untreated rosacea. Says the condition is most commonly in older white men. Don't happen in black folks. So we ain't got to worry about, because back in the day, which I don't see that shit anymore. I used to always know, like back in the day, white folks used to have these large ass noses, and you don't see that shit no more. So I wonder what happened. What happened? How did they go about some altering in the genetics? Something. It says as the deformity worsened, says pits, nodules, fissures. What is that? Lobulations and pedunculations. Says contorted his nose. That nigga looked nasty. This is probably him mad right here. Morgan was self-conscious about. Look, he mad right here, ready to whoop somebody's ass. I just said, shut your ugly ass up, bitch. See, that's why I be wanting to say to Trump, man. Nigga let me in the Trump goddamn parade or concert. Man, I'll say some real fucked up shit to Trump. I'll make that nigga mad. And then, but yeah, that's a wealthy ass fool. Even he had disease, fucked up genetics. And these fools are the ones controlling the country's wealth and shit. Because you was allowing a lot of these foreigners who are accustomed to being ruled over. And that's the way Donald Trump is doing it, why so many white folks who are foreigners to this land are so accustomed to that shit. They're used to being ruled by people. They don't understand the democratic way. And then Steph says my brother's on the boxing. Brendan Washington says Asian Matt Picasso. And then Steph says Vietnam War says it's called the American War. Shit, to who? They better tell the veterans that. The veterans they treat like shit. I know Box says Steph says what's happening. Picasso says the French also invaded and colonized Cambodia, says just like Louisiana. I think the French was the ones who was fucking around in Vietnam as well. And then Picasso says French, and that's the thing with all the European nations. They're the ones in here fucking with all these damn lanes, all these damn nations doing all this ill shit in them. And then you bring foreigners out of there, bring them here, and they be having all type of wicked viewpoints on black folks because they don't have an understanding of that history. Our history don't reflect any bullshit at all. Knowledgeable but uneducated foreigners believe that shit. The educated foreigners have an understanding, and they also get educated on true American history and the ill side of that shit. And this is why you can't let people sit there and whitewash it, just like you have heard recently, dumbass Negroes that speak about the Civil War not being over slavery. And the Civil War was a great turning point and a great stand by black folks, who also showed white folks in this country with them hateful ass views that we can really flip shit on you. We ain't gonna turn. We're gonna go into what we see as the rules to this war, and when a surrender happens in this conflict, we'll go back to giving us our peace, letting us move on with our lives. The crybabies of this nation cry about it, change it with what's mightier than a sword, that fucking pen, and resorted right back to it. There's a reason why that pen is mighty, and it's very mighty in the hands of motherfuckers in suits. And then and the TB says, salute, bro. Steph says, right, Picasso says French colonized Vietnam too. See, yep, just saying that shit. Says that's why they in the backers and pastries, all that stuff. But y'all niggas can't write for shit. On the box says Facts Slim says I've listened to Garth Brooks, says he be promoting a lot of gun violence, says on his records. I ain't listening to none of that shit, but I know a lot of that shit come out of that country shit. And that's probably the music of plantations, if they had that kind of music. And I mean, I wonder what kind of music the plantation owners listen to. They probably had no music, man. They have shit on the plantation. That's why they bitter. It wasn't, man. It ain't no, man, come on. They ain't doing shit on that motherfucker. Can't fuck they bitches, right? That's why they bitches want to fuck slaves and shit. Like, ain't that some shit that gotta piss you off? Don't you know, I'll be an evil ass motherfucking slave owner. Now, I will be so fucked up. I'm a nigga with Rockefeller money, my face all the way fucked up. I'm thinking these bitches like me. I'm tricking my money. And then this bitch out there sneaking out in the field, 100% humidity field working motherfucker. And they're knocking my girl guts out. Oh, nigga, fuck that. I'm whipping your ass. But then I'll be the slave, nigga. I'm fucking your bitch. I'm kicking your ass too, nigga. Fuck you dare pull that whip out, nigga. Imagine punching Rockefeller in his nose and that shit splat, nigga. Oh, man. Nigga, I'll fucking deal with the consequence of that shit. That straight up a death sentence. But nigga, imagine you a slave owner and the slave in there fucking your bitch. Niggas, that's why them niggas is bad. I know that's the shit in slavery they don't teach you. They showed you in the movie Life. They showed that shit in the movie Life on comical shit. And I can make that shit comical, but the fact that shit was popping like that, nigga, you gotta feel good to be your motherfucking black ass self. That's why I said we conquer the world. We'll go look around, roll into Europe and say, we just in here to get our dicks up. We heard these bitches got the guac. We hear these old Nancy Reagan ass on their knees, head giving bitches. It's top notch. They the top. See, the African women don't want to give you that shit. She got big fat ass, want you to fuck a doggy style, pick her up, carry her, and all that shit. Lick her coochie and all that shit. But our women ain't giving head like that. So I'm coming here to Transylvania, Europa. So that's all we calling it for. We ain't cold. Y'all ain't got no gold in this motherfucker, no oil. You motherfuckers ain't got no seasonings, no spices, no sugar, no cocoa, no coffee. They ain't got shit over there. They're eating just boiled ass food cooked in water. They get the fuck out of here. Man, we out, nigga. And who the fuck told us to come here? Man, get the fuck out. Then the bitches want to roll with us. We look like Jack Johnson on boats and shit. Just leaving with they hoes. Them niggas mad. Like, no, hey. Einsteinian bitch. Hey, we need some shit to kill these niggas. We can't fight them. And I try to step this nigga I walk in a little straw hut. This nigga in there fucking my bitch. I ain't never heard her scream like that. Like, what the fuck kind of noise is that? They think you killing her and shit. They think you killing her, man. Walk in there, you sticking water holes up in her. That bitch ready to ride back, ready to leave that. See, that's what happened to Melania. Melania get out that goofy shit and never hung around these old chumps in suits and at the country club and shit. See, girls that go to country club ain't been fucked right. But they sneak off with us and shit. They can talk all that shit. I can disrespect all them kind of hoes. That's why when I get at them and shit, like my daughter's old swim teacher, and I get at them and talk to them the way I do, the bitch start crying and shit because I'm effective in my knowledge of history, my wits, and the fact I be pride on that intelligent shit, and I'm disrespectful when necessary. I'm cool than a motherfucker, but my disrespect is like on a trillion or some shit. So I got to understand that shit. But yeah, but we back in the day, we was on that shit and got to it before the Europeans and shit with the little ill side of history. We wouldn't never been on that shit. We just been going over there, wanting to trade. They ain't got shit to trade. We leave. The bitches be all on our dick. Like, goddamn, come on, ho, get up off me, man. I gotta go set sail. We gotta be over Indian shit, man. Get the fuck up off me. They want to roll with us. But now when the whites done took over them, snatched niggas up and brought them over to this country, working on the field, and this lonely bitch looking out the goddamn mansion window, and in there, they ain't had no rosebud for her to play with her pussy. That bitch in there with the damn kitchen spoon rubbing on her shit. That's probably what they doing. They're in there with the damn spoon they supposed to be stirring the pot with, sticking that shit up in that thing, trying to hit that spot that slave was hitting. What they doing? Melania doing that shit now. She in there with a spoon trying to hit that spot the slave done hit because it felt so good. And so that's what it was, man. I mean, shit. I will whoop one of y'all black asses if I was a goddamn slave owner and caught you knocking the motherfucking knocking the small and large intestines back on her ass, man. God, that bitch. Then she walking around the house with ass on her and shit because you done plumped her up. Like, damn, boy, we some cold motherfuckers. And then Steph says, that's why I love being black. Can't nobody ever disrespect that shit. And then Steph says true that too, says with Haiti, says Haitians took their country back in the 1800s, says good history there, Picasso. And then Picasso says Google it up, says about the teachers here being outsourced to redirect us from being educated. I don't know what you talk about, Picasso. Steph says that's why you got to read. Says libraries is like my favorite place. Says use your imagination. Says to bring books to life. Says praise God, bam. Get them books. Get them bookie books. Get these bookie books. Yeah. Get them bookie books. What book is that? Oh, that's a Keefe D shit. Get them bookie books. Get them bookie books. God damn it. We got more bookie books. Get them bookie books. I thought this was that Tai Chi book I had. I had a Bruce Lee Tai Chi book in this mug. Back when I used to be able to kick ass and throw kicks at niggas' heads. Knee them in their motherfucking mouth. Back in them days. But now I preach non-violence. I'm like Mahatma Gandhi. Because now I'll probably get my ass whooped. Psych, nigga. And then and let me see. Yeah, praise God. Steph says, yep, says those are facts, says huge influx of immigrants, says coming from Europe, China, and South America as of late. Says, guess who teaches them the way, guess who teaches them the ways too, says black folks. And then Deuce Time says, laugh my ass off, says now COVID a chemical weapon. Man, Deuce, you got a long line of shit to learn in history. Just because Trump called it the China virus because he's such a militaristic idiot. He had no understanding of threats on shit. But it could have been, like I said, some lab-based shit that leaked out. And then Steph in there saying the Deuce. And then Deuce saying, been saying that shit for 6 years. He ain't never heard you say that. I heard you cry about the damn shot. And then Steph says hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Yeah, hit that shit. Subscribe, share, all that good shit. Even hit the down button, the dislike. SF says that's what some conspiracists claimed it was. Says 1 minute it was a chemical weapon. Says the next minute says it's not real. Says just a flu, etc. Exactly, bro. Exactly. And then Steph says haters. And then Thrill Hill says salute, bro. Steph says that's why our oil reserves says are where they are. Says South Texas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Says those nukes. I don't know why you stopped the comment. And then Gossip says Cuban missile crisis. Says is that what you talking about? Yeah. Says Cuba had that embargo lifted. Says during the Obama. No, that's why America got embargoes placed on Cuba. Was over him bringing a fucking nuclear weapon, letting Russia bring nuclear weapons over to that motherfucker. And then on the boxing says the mops is my only protection gear. And then SF says, hey, for real, says I'll be trying to hit on those $1 billion jackpots. Yeah, I don't know what niggas talking about that lottery shit. I sure go play that motherfucker. Shit. It don't even cost me much to play the lottery. I spent that mega shit that went up. I spent $50 to buy them 10 draws. And then that lasts for like 2 months, I believe. Or what does that last? Like a month and a half? And then I'll buy a Powerball for $20 to do multiple draws. And then that's my gambling. I don't go to casinos and shit. My money don't go on no slot machine. My money don't go on sports bets. I'll be like, shit, what that jackpot? 100 plus million? Shit. Test my luck. And then Picasso says my Texas Army Reserve unit says got mobilized to train in the desert, says before going to war, says during Desert Storm. Yeah, that's where I didn't even know that's where they were trained before we went to war. But I think how many rotations I did and was lucky to never get transported. I think I did 3 rotations to NTC. Were you out there for like a month and a half or something? I think if it's not 3, I definitely did 2. But I think I did 3 rotations to NTC. And then Light Skin Cletus says if Reggie hits the lottery, says I'm suing him on behalf of Big Cuz that he put hands on in TSA. Bullshit. I be wondering what happened to that fool, to be honest. I'll be wondering what happened to that fool. I think that fool got killed. I think that nigga stole my broad I was fucking with. The one I'll tell the story, punched me in my eye. Because that crazy broad had this so ugly. That girl had one of them Fast and Furious cars. She had put air lifts on that shit. The car used to bounce up. Man, that girl swore that shit was hard. That car was so hooked up with all type of bullshit on the thing. This old pretty ass chick driving an old fucking Fast and Furious big ass Honda and shit with spoiler lifts on it. She hear me say that chick would be ready to fight me for saying this shit. But that car was not dope. And the day I fought that nigga, the day that car got stolen from my house, I think that nigga followed her to her house and stole that shit. And then Deuce Time said, laugh my ass off. Says Epstein says don't know who the Rockefellers are. Who said Epstein don't know the Rockefellers? And then Picasso says, just like Tulsa bombing, says there were many thriving black communities, says that were attacked by whites, and they put highways and Lex on top of those black communities. Man, you got to hear Terrence Bailey's story out there in that county that he in, the oldest black county, about how they took the black cemeteries through the tombstones in the river and all that other shit. They discovering that shit. Towns that have been built over black. Like, come on, there's some ill shit in these people's history. Black people wouldn't do that shit if we were the predominant leaders of this damn nation. We wouldn't do that shit. And then Nano Boxing says I heard that Mob Gear says will protect you from a 40 megaton. Look, shit, who told you that shit? Them niggas guessing that shit protect your ass be radiated like a motherfucker. Says even at Ground Zero says your military guys had all the top tier protection. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. And then, but then again, I guess they study whatever fucking radioactive waves can pass through. Because that's the other thing with nuclear weapons and shit. That's where your ass go die. That shit blow up. The dust and dirt get mixed in that shit. Now everything radioactive and shit. Now you got all this radioactive dust, and now your ass dying. You gonna get blasted with a high ass dose of radiation. If you don't get killed from the bomb, the flash or whatever that shit is radioactive. That shit's gonna flash through you. Fuck all your damn cells in your body, all the muscle tissue, all that shit will break down. And then on top, you're gonna be breathing in that fucking toxic ass air and shit. Like them weapons is crazy, homie. It's crazy they developing shit like that. And then SF said, but it takes some brilliant motherfuckers to think of splitting it atom. But guess what? Here you got, and that's another wicked side of shit. You get people into their brainiac discovery of shit, splitting the atom to create a greater weapon of killing more motherfuckers. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. And then be in the same breath teaching you about Christ and shit. So I be saying, who the fuck is your God? Like, get the fuck out of here, man. SF says, bro said STDs on the nose. Y'all see that shit? Fool did it. Letting one of them old bitches with the black plague and her coochie rub on his face and shit because he couldn't fuck her. That's what Rockefeller was doing. Bitch wasn't getting no enjoyment from him sticking her. He told the bitch, sit on this long ass nose. She's hard. Now you're working. This remind me of old black motherfucker. What you say, bitch? Not knowing that bitch, whole coochie sending out a liquid committee on his face and shit. Burnt my nigga nose off. That shit fucked up. You sitting on $1 billion and just look fucked up. It's like the billionaires in this country. All the billion, you think the billionaires supposed to be player looking motherfucker? We giving all the wealth to a bunch of scumbag motherfuckers. Yeah, get the fuck out of it, man. If I become president, we breaking the money up. The money gotta go to the players, man. Get your weak asses the fuck up out of here. They're fucking praising old fucking dweeb looking motherfuckers making money, buying, trading, selling, lazy motherfuckers. Like, hell nah. And then Steph says, yeah, or he says that's the way he write that. Says, yeah, that's the founder of JP Morgan, says, and Chase Bank, shouts Jamie Dimon, who the Dimon. And then Picasso says he had a camel toe. So he had a camel toe nose. Yeah, that fool nose fucked up. Says rhino. What is that? Cause rhinoceros nose. CJ says nigga had a fruit for a nose. Yeah, nigga the Humpty Hump. That's where Humpty got that shit from. Humpty got that nose from J.P. Morgan. And then you look at New York got this fly ass building out there they just built, and it's a J.P. Morgan building and shit. They need to build some shit that look like that nigga nose. That nigga nose should be put in the front lobby and shit. That shit nasty. I wonder how he died. How did that nigga die? Let me go back to that shit. That nigga died. That nigga had to die fucked up. Hold on, how JP Morgan died? Let me see. Oh, that'd be fucked up. The nose just like busted or something or rotted into his bloodstream. Hold on, how this piece of shit died? Because he was a fucked up person too. Let me see how he died. I can't wait to hear when this punk in the White House when he kicked the bucket. So he died, says Morgan fell ill, says to a long sinking spell. They said a sinking spell. To a long sinking spell, says which included symptoms of extreme weakness, nervousness, after his realization of the inability to take in food due to the paralysis of muscles in his the nose fucked this nigga off. That nigga nose killed him. That nigga nose killed him, man. That fool died in 1913. How old was this big nose motherfucker? He died at 75. Look, this fool ain't. Oh, he died in Italy. He went over to Italy. He had to run from America. Well, let's see. He died. That's fucked up. They said that nigga couldn't even eat. Say he had paralysis of the muscles in his throat. Man, that's what he got for letting that Trump mama sit on his face. Says no other organic. Says no organic trouble was present. Says when he tried to speak, contraction of his throat followed. Then that shit locked up. That nigga died fucked up. All that money and they ain't got no medical technology to save this fool. Says as his condition worsened, says he was in and out of consciousness. Says while they gave him food through inject. Oh, this nigga eating through a tube. Oh, that is fucked up. This damn, look at his wealth. Says his son John Pierpoint Jack Morgan Jr. inherited the banking business. His estate was worth $68 million, which is $1.5 billion today, of which about $30 million says represented his shares in the New York and Philadelphia banks. Says the value of his art collection was estimated at $50 million. They was balling art at $50 million. What the fuck kind of art was this? Bunch of ugly bitches knew this shit. All right, man, get the fuck out of here. If they would have painted that nigga nose and sold that shit, he should let somebody paint his nose. He could have auctioned that shit off. That's fucked up, man. They didn't have the medical expertise to fight that disease he had. Damn, you go from balling out of control, then some shit start growing on your nose, fuck you over, and then you, oh my God. Whatever that shit was, I don't want it. And Deshaun says the motherfucker says had on wigs and dresses, laughed my ass off, Cinderella ass motherfuckers. Yeah, the niggas whole style was doo-doo. Their whole style was goof, man. These motherfuckers, man. That's why I be like, they hoes ain't shit. They can keep they bitches. And then Picasso said, damn, nutsack nose, man. And he says, ingrown hair nose. Says, don't Trump says, got one of those moon noses. Trump shit gonna fall off too, man. Melania better make her exit strategy. Melania need it. Melania needs some good love, and that bitch always look mad. She just got a fucked up face. Step Brown says that's why I salute Tariq Nasheed. Says you don't have to like him. Says but that's real modern day NAACP type. Man, get the fuck out of here. Fuck Tariq Nasheed. That nigga about as ignorant as a motherfucker. He's smart, but he's stupid as shit. No. It ain't that he's stupid. That nigga's smart. That nigga a manipulative motherfucker. Tariq one of these smart people with knowledge that you can't fucking trust at all, because everything he do is got a dollar design behind that shit. I wouldn't trust that motherfucker as far as I can throw his motherfucking ass. But to knock his intelligence, I ain't gonna do that. He is smart, but he one of them old twisted motherfucker. I don't know if there's a word for a smart motherfucker that's twisted. I guess you call him a priest. I guess you call him a creator of religion. And then out of the box it says that word was gang. So the word was gang, not gun. Says, hey brother, says you ever thought about wearing glasses? No, my brother. Y'all motherfuckers can't write. And then CJ says I'm the pappy, talking about them damn motherfucking black dudes fucking the slave owner wife. That's some cold shit. I would have did that shit as a slave too. Like, damn, look at this bitch, man. Bitch, I know she ain't got no ass on her. Them titties a little flat. She ain't got no suntan, but I'm about to wear that bitch out. I'm about to wear her out. Yeah, old master about to go down to the plantation up the road. I'm about to take this shit out on this bitch. I'm about to smack that ass. I'm about to wear the lining out. She gonna become a slave. That was the other thing. Them bitches try to, you know how bitches will leave they dudes and shit. You know how the bitches leave they dude. Bitch, leave that nigga, leave the match and then out there in the slave quarters with your ass. Oh, them black bitches be mad at that shit. Motherfuckers be mad. I ought to do a movie on that shit. I ought to make one of the most disrespectful fucking movies in history. Hey, I couldn't get no actors to do that shit. I couldn't get no actor to do that shit. I'll make one of the most disrespectful. They would literally ban my fucking movie. That's what that shit would be. That shit would be called the 12-inch slave. I'm about to raise money for that shit. I'm about to look. You gonna start, man. You arrive to the plantation, and then the bitch end up sleeping with the slave quarters on me. I'm about to do that shit. I'm about to go find a film location down in the south. It is on and cracking. I want to make that shit before Trump pass away. That shit gonna be 12 inches slave, goddamn it. It be wearing that bitch out. It is still says says slaves, and they were white female owners. It says, goddamn. That bitch straight left a mansion to come live in an old stankin' ass shack. And instead says they say Nancy Reagan gave the best top. Yeah, she was a whore. All them fools girls is whores. All them fools girls is whores, man. That's why I look at little rich kids and I be like, man, you know your mom was a hoe. Little rich kid get out of line. You know your mama was a little hoe, right? Yeah, that bitch was a fucking old golf ball hole sucking ass, bro. Yeah, get your little fucking product of cream pie the fuck up out of here, little dummy. And then it said, but yeah, Nancy Reagan, one of them hoes. A lot of them bitches is them type of hoes. Just lazy, don't do shit. Get plastic surgery, look like shit. Be depressed, gotta see a therapist and all that shit. Steph says you made your kids teacher cry. Says nigga, hell yeah, cuss that bitch out in front of a whole large ass Olympic pool training facility. Shit, she wanted to play on some old racist shit. I'm gonna show her a super racist, a super unracist motherfucker. Like I said, I can be extremely disrespectful. Them folks is in there hearing some shit they never heard. And then Deuce Time says, fuck this nigga like but this nigga Deuce. Yeah, nigga got my channel taken. And they said, fuck this nigga like butter. Stephen and Rolling says Clippers training camp started. Man, fuck they training camp, nigga. I hope y'all star player get hurt in that motherfucker. And then Steph says, wait, says Obama was smuggling nukes. Says when that Cuban says was struggling nukes when that Cuba opening was happening. Says the fuck, who wrote that shit? Ain't nobody write nothing like that. Crazy ass Ben Israel in the building. Salute my brother Ben Israel. Salute, bro. And then light skin Cletus says it be your own family says that will hate on. Yeah, this nigga Deuce, man. And then Steph says, yeah, that's true. Says there are so many places with prisons, schools, and others got built over black cemeteries in Texas. And then shit, you got a lot of cemeteries. That's the crazy thing, like with the Inglewood cemeteries and all. There's a lot of cemeteries where blacks couldn't even be buried in the motherfuckers. And that's a relatively new shit. It's this video. Instagram won't let me load this shit. It's a video I'm trying to put up because when they show with the integration of school, because in my caption, I state that this integration shit is some relatively new shit. It's recent. And in this video, it's about the Dallas school district, matter of fact. And it's a white girl they're interviewing because they always show like when the blacks start to go into some of these all white schools, they start integrating schools to desegregate schools and shit. What you think about that shit is ill in this country. Telling you can't go to this school. And so when blacks start attending these schools, you start having the white folks in these communities threatening them and shit. You can't go to, and this is new history. It's people living who attended school where they couldn't go to schools that were deemed as white schools. But in this video, it's a white girl at an all black school. You don't have black parents nor the black students trying to force this white girl out of that school. In the interview with the news people doing the interview, she just feels uncomfortable because it's a new experience because of her parents who decided to keep her away from other Americans. Keeping her away from other Americans. And they have held white kids back. White kids get held back by prejudice, bro. This whole wicked ass, bigoted ass prejudice shit has held so many white folks back. And white kids have always wanted to live around us. This is why a lot of them venture up out of these communities they live in to come to be around us. See how cool, how free we are. We some of the most freest motherfuckers to have been the enslaved people of this country, homie. That's some crazy shit when you look at it. We some of the most freest motherfuckers in this country to have been some enslaved people in it. America will be beautiful when we run this shit. And then Steph Brown says, I remember that says had an evacuation. Damn, y'all niggas can't write. Says I remember that I guess you're supposed to write they had an evacuation, says in the early 80s in NYC, says because they were building a huge space and realized it was a black cemetery. Says crazy, says look at us, says look that up, says that made headlines globally. And then, yeah, I haven't heard that in the 80s. Or you meant 1800s? The subway's been there way before the 80s and shit. And then you might mean the 1800s. And then, or maybe, I don't know, maybe you could, but I don't know. That subway system is old. SF in the Roland Picasso says Italy had that swollen Mario Brothers piece of nose, man. It says, man, that nigga Rockefeller or JP Morgan was all the way fucked up. But y'all gotta watch the history of the Gilded Age, man. You'll get a better understanding of this wicked, twisted shit going on right in front of your face. And then right before the crash of this country, decades before, Picasso says if they weren't holding back, they weren't holding holding blacks back, says from education, says we would have found the cure, says for that freezer burnt nose, for real. We would have cured that motherfucker, old sliftless face ass motherfucker. And then Steph says Rich Uncle Pennybags says is modeled after JP Morgan. Oh, is Rich Pennybags the Monopoly guy? Is that, let me see who Rich Pennybags is. Rich Uncle Pennybag. Let me see. Is that supposed to be Rich? Did you say that? No, 1980s. Rich Pennybags. Rich Uncle Pennybags. Let's see. Is that the Monopoly guy? Yeah, it is a Monopoly guy. Okay. I never knew it. I saw the guy until you wrote that shit. I had a feeling you was talking about that because he dressed like him. I never knew what the Monopoly guy's name is. That means you a straight up nerd, dude. This nigga Steph is a super nerd. I guarantee nobody knew that the Monopoly dude had a fucking name. I would have just thought his name was Monopoly. This nigga done studied the rules to the game, probably read the whole introduction of that booklet that come in the game Monopoly and knew this nigga name was Rich Uncle Pennybag. If you didn't write who this fool was modeled after, I would have had no idea what the hell you was talking about. And then Steph in there rolling, and then Steph says Reggie needs glasses now. Yeah, that's what they always saying. No, I used to need glasses, but I do need glasses, but my eyes used to be fucked up when I used to be in here tired as hell. Let me see. CJ says I was talking to my cohorts about Lincoln's wooden teeth. Says, and then I looked it up. Says he invented prosthetic teeth. Says, and it was a black man. Says, and it was a lot of black dudes invented a lot of shit back then. But the fact you couldn't go to the patent office and patent that shit, a lot of black creations weren't credited to him and shit. But I didn't know that shit about him having wooden teeth though. And then Picasso says old Ice Age mammoth nose. And he says Picasso said, Steph the Picasso says that Super Mario joke. And then he says nose looked like a rock on his face, man. Yeah, that fool JP Morgan shit. Y'all didn't even know he was fucked up like that. Y'all didn't even know JP Morgan looked like that. And that just shows you, man, them hoes would fuck anything for money. But he let a bitch sit on his face because he couldn't fuck her right. And then Picasso says you can buy that nose in the store. It comes with glasses. And then Steph says, yeah, Melania never smiles. Says, have you seen those shorts that put together of Trump trying to hold her hand? Says if she pulls away every time, says that's tough. Yeah, she don't fuck with him, man. He can't tap her right. Melania is sexually frustrated. She probably got some fire up under that motherfucker. Imagine, man, you get like 2 pumps out of Melania because that shit ain't been touched in like 40 years. She probably got the tightest pussy on a damn 60-year-old. Bitch pussy so tight. All them motherfuckers women pussy tight, man. They ain't doing nothing. Man, them bitches ain't even opening up. They had the C-section the most. Hey, pussy so tight. That's why the rich bitches be mad all the time when they fuck with these fools. Yeah, damn, Melania shit down there holding all that juice back. That motherfucker is still tight. That motherfucker, hey, she's ready to get fucked, man. Melania got whopped. There you fucking two pumps out that hole and done. Oh shit. Imagine that bitch. She one day show up with like cornrows or some shit. That's how you know, and they're really wearing her out. And then Steph says I asked my dad about that growing up for him. Says he integrated with whites in '77. Says as a senior. Says crazy man. Says this is also Dallas, Texas too. Says Oak Cliff. Yeah, all that integration shit is new. That's why I put that video up. I was trying to put up early. I don't know if I'm out of memory on my phone and shit or what it was. It wouldn't let me, or they didn't want that shit uploaded because of my caption, but I'm putting that shit up there. Like I said, that integration shit is new. That shit relatively new shit. In mine, whites didn't go through that shit. Blacks ain't create that shit against whites. This is the wickedness in these incompetent, insecure motherfuckers. And maybe they feel that way because blacks, even with all their power and this whole imaginary power in this system that people follow, and then their wealth, it doesn't stop their bitches from fucking blacks. And so they become obsessed with trying to separate from them. Because imagine when blacks start getting bused to these far out ass white schools, they become super popular. They become, man, the first thing you do when you first go to, I went to a few white schools, I was in bus, but the first thing when a black dude who be like, his parents are like, I don't want you going to the black school, because they didn't fucking put the conditions of the schools that were once in white neighborhoods, white flight, got them out of now these black schools. And now the schools begin to plunge in their scoring, the funding, all that shit. Some parents don't want their kids going around that shit. Also becomes a rise in gang violence and other shit. They send their kids out to the white school. And the first thing happened when a black guy arrived on campus, the girls go in heat. The white girls go in heat. And they ain't fucking with none of them white dudes. Them white dudes turning a Unabomber and shit. That's what began to happen. I'm telling you, we a motherfucker, man. And then Steph says, says no, the 80s, talking about the subway shit. CJ says, I was talking to my cohort, says about Lincoln's wooden teeth, says, and then I looked up, says, who invented prosthetic teeth, says, and it was a black man. Yeah, the black man designed a lot of shit that these lazy motherfuckers take credit for. And then CJ says, hell yeah, it says he had wooden teeth, says, and they also would take teeth from slaves and put them in their mouths. I'll be wondering where that gold shit came from, where the gold teeth shit came from. And then Steph in there rolling said, what the fuck, says talking about granny pussy being tight. Yeah, Melania shit tight. There ain't nobody fucking that shit. Oh, he said he met his coworkers, not cohorts. I assume your cohorts were your coworkers too. But yeah, Melania shit tight. Trump ain't never penetrated that shit. He ain't do nothing. That motherfucker, then I don't even know how she got pregnant. That bitch probably got her eggs inseminated with Larry Bird shit. And then Steph says I keep on the Gilded Age too. Says always watch those YouTube videos. Says and pass out to them. Says the buildings that yes blacks built, says were freaking amazing. Says those estates. Yeah, the Billionaires Row, amazing. Well, the Billionaires Row shit is new shit. That's some new 2000 shit. Yeah, that's some new shit. But the Gilded Age is where these fools got these big, large ass estates, the Rembrandts and all that. I even think today some of the largest properties in America is owned by these people from out the 1900s. They're building 100,000 square foot mansions sitting on fucking thousands of acres and shit. Even to this day, they manicure the fucking lawns on that shit. You go up in the, is that up in Big Sur's where the Hertz mansion and all that shit? And then go look at the Hertz shit. Oh man, that bring a great point. Even look at the Hertz family. The Hertz family is a perfect example about when we get the sticking it to these bras and they lose their mind. Here this bra come from one of the wealthiest families on the planet. Let me read this last comment. Actually it was in 1991, says when construction workers found remains from the from 17th to the 18th century from a burial site in Manhattan. Says, believe it or not, says Pennsylvania says a nice state. Says Carnegie. Carnegie got the big ass matching tee. Carnegie spot says you be like says God dang fam, all them Gilded Ages motherfuckers says with them big ass properties. But going into the Hearst, where they got Hearst Castle up in Northern California, that fool is one of the richest people in all of the world back then. The girl come from this wealthy family, Patty Hearst. That's where that bullshit ass fucking what they call that shit, the Stockholm syndrome. They developed some old bullshit ass theory about victims falling in love with their captors and all that shit. This bitch come from this wealthy family, then got hold of some old black weenie, black motherfucker that she inspired him, got all on this nigga nuts. The nigga took her down and took her to Pound Town. That bitch said, man, fuck these white motherfuckers. That bitch wearing Black Panther shit. That bitch was down for the cause. Hey, they talking about she got kidnapped and shit. They show that bitch. They done developed the security camera. That's what made them mad. They were like, oh, dope. When they found the security camera, this bitch Patty Hearst in there with the AK, robbing white folks with these niggas, rolling the Compton, all that shit, man. They done effectively made that bitch turn black, man. That motherfucker Patty Hearst ain't never been fucked like that in her life. That bitch lost her mind. God damn it. Oh, shit. We've been smashing these hoes with love and they've been waiting for. I'm telling you, we would have been exploring the world. Them bitches would have left. We'd have painted Europe black. That bitch Patty Hearst from a billionaire family. She was fucking with niggas, didn't even have a place to stay. Niggas staying in vans and shit. Talking about the Whitey the devil. Oh yeah. That bitch in that motherfucking Black Panther meeting getting turned the fuck off. Oh, God, nigga. Hey, salute to the nigga that wore that shit out. That nigga, that's why them niggas be trying to move and separate. These fools know what's on the writing on the wall. They can't stick their bitch Melania in here with 60-year-old pussy that is tight as a virgin's. That bitch, and that's why she always look mad. That bitch is, she be mad as a motherfucker. She can't wait to get loose, but she ain't leaving that money though. And it still says he played with propaganda so much. Says fucker was so rich. Says he had to sell everything in the house. Never finished. Says never finished. Laugh out loud. Man, they was like Hearst had the power of that damn paper he had. But even when they had Patty Hearst, this is how rich they were. Here they are with black folks in there starving and all that shit, unable to buy groceries, unable to pay rent. The demands before they said, before we turn, look, Patty, I'm going to let you go back to your family because they about to kill us, baby. No, girl, don't be so lost. You find some other motherfucker. But we going to get it up out your family. Before we give y'all little pad bitch, we want y'all to feed the people. We want y'all to give the people services and pay their rent. Just like where the free food programs come from black. This is the thoughts of black folks. We ain't gonna kill this bitch. This bitch just want to fall on. This is our job. We want to do this shit. This was our little lick. We up here robbing shit, put money in our pockets and shit. Yeah, we got this billionaire bitch, but we didn't want to take her money. The bitch just rolled along, got fucked one day on a humbug. On a humbug, and found out this bitch ain't never been hit like this. Now she want to grab the strap. She want to go. She won't leave my sight. So before we leave, Patty, we want your family feeding the people of Oakland and all that shit. These fools got truck trailers out here feeding the people food that they can't afford in these old overpriced ass grocery stores. And also, I think giving them other like little resources to turn that bitch over. And then when they go to court trial for her, for the ones who ain't died, they talking about she has Stockholm syndrome and shit. That's why my dad and them used to be because they back in the day, older black people used to watch that cowboy shit. See, that's what, man, I had the dopest fucking life. I be so connected with this history, in touch with old shit, and I keep that old shit alive. But they used to watch that old cowboy shit. Pops didn't like that fucking John Wayne shit. He didn't like John Wayne and a couple of other old cats, and they was talking about with John Wayne. This is why they John Wayne ain't on that pussy ass airport no more. They found out he was a bigot. Same thing with Trump and them whole ass. But John Wayne was the one running in support, putting out, trying to, win over public, what is it, like the public opinion, the public opinion outside the courts and all that shit to make Patty Hearst look like a victim and all that shit. Because he connected into the family and all that shit. Paying these black folks like thugs, doing this years before Donald Trump would go into the ad and do the John Wayne shit against the Central Park 5 kids. Same script from two bigoted ass punk motherfuckers, John Wayne and Donald Trump. So we get John Wayne, no fucking love. Only thing I give John Wayne while I laugh at a little clip he got is he asked a little kid if you know how to swim when he playing stepdad and throw the kid in the little lake. And the Steph says, "Oh yeah," says I remember her vaguely. Says she eventually joined them, right? Yeah, she in there robbing banks and all that shit. One of these got the breaking her spine in. That bitch fell in love. She ain't never had love like this. Steph says, old westerns are the best, fam. I never liked that shit. They just look too old and all that shit. And then he says, yeah, so John Wayne says but they are so John Wayne sucks, says, but there are better shows and movies. Yeah, a lot of old people watch that shit. A lot of old people who were born in that time, even to this day, watch their westerns. I could never get into it. When that shit used to be on, Pops watched it. I was going outside, or sometimes I watch it because I always wanted to like be around it, but I couldn't watch the westerns and shit because I don't like cowboys. For some reason I never liked cowboy people. I always viewed them as like slave owning ass people. I just never liked that shit. Texas is the only homie I know that's on that cowboy shit. And but cowboy type motherfucker, like, I never liked it. I just viewed them as plantation owner people who's part of the slave system. So I always looked at that. When you look at westerns, the westerns a bunch of racist shit. When they showing them going out, they act like the Indians are the enemy. Here the Indians being treated like enemies when this is their fucking land. They ain't do a goddamn thing to these fucking cowboy people. That's the cold shit about that shit. And then, but I used to watch the Murder, She Wrote. They used to watch Murder, She Wrote, Matlock. I remember all that shit. What was it? Murder, She Wrote, Matlock. It must be some other shit on and that they used to watch and shit. Heat of the Night. That's what it was. Heat of the Night. I used to like that shit. That's why I like them crime shows and shit. And then Steph says black people are the original cowboys. Yeah, but don't act like it and shit. Instead, horses in the stable. Now niggas want to be cowboys again. Rah, rah. Horses in the stable. That's all the cowboy shit black people know. They all trendy in the motherfucker. Black people want to be black when the old comic book movie come out. Or a jiggy ass song come out. Or Beyonce cowgirl and shit. Like, man, that cowboy shit dead. This shit died when the South stopped. When black people in the South stopped being on cowboy shit, that cowboy shit, and with black folks died the hell out. But folks, that's all I got on this one, man. Never let nobody disrespect your history. You ain't no wicked drive-by shooting ass motherfucker. You ain't none of that stupid shit. Some of you dumb niggas who participate in this dumb shit have picked up on, the teachings and projecting shit onto you that you accept and the shit that you want to show out for these people and to be accepted by displaying your ignorance and using your ignorance to thinking that it puts fear in people, and it doesn't. And then Steph says you see back in the 1800s, says black people tended the land, says took care of cattle, says and driving them. Says white people was so racist, says he couldn't, or not white people, he says white men was so racist he couldn't be associated with us, says he was known as a cowman. And then says our cow high, says black people were cowboys. I can see that shit. Says the first ever rodeo, says, was in NYC, says, and black cowboys, says, ran that. Says white man came, says the white man came. Because I hear that shit about the damn, and it's crazy you don't even see us no more with the with horse racing. I think that shit, let me see the history of that. Let me see. History of horse racing in America. Yeah, I think it's was a thing with black folks. I think the early history of that shit is with black folks and shit. Let me see. They said first races in New York and shit. Because a lot of old jockeys, I hear there used to be a lot of the old jockeys were black and shit. Let me see if they put in that history in here. It's 1884, woo, woo, racing, quarter horse, dun dun dun. Now let me go into the jockeys and shit. I'm trying to pull up some names here. Give me 1 second. Yeah, they ain't giving that history. But yeah, I hear that the early jockeys were black back in the day. But see, I ain't one of them black people that like to say the black man this and the black man did that. Man, you know the first ever thing was the black man. Let me see Kentucky Derby. Let me go to Kentucky Derby. Maybe it's with the Kentucky Derby history. Let me see. Breeders' Cup. Yeah, I remember used to going to them horse races. Mom used to be on that horse racing shit. Let me see where we at with it. And I'm gonna get up out of here. This towards the end. Let me try to find some shit. History. So this go all the way back into the 1800s. Says French Jockey Club. Da da da. I had to do a damn thing on horse racing. See, this dude right here look black. It says Alan L. Dell. It says written by jockey Jimmy Winkfield. Yeah, here it is. It's a black dude. Oh, so let's go into this shit. Yeah, I've just found some shit. They even showing this picture from the 1800s. And it's showing a black man on this motherfucker. So here it is. So this is Alan A. Dales is an American thoroughbred racehorse. Is best known for winning in 1902 Kentucky Derby. Says he was named for a figure in Robin Hood legend. Says let me go into the jockey riding him. Let me see, where's the jockey? He raced and trained by McDowell. Says who's Thomas McDowell? It's supposed to be a trainer who ain't doing nothing. Says he's ridden by future Hall of Fame jockey Jimmy Winkfield. So this is going to Winkfield. So Winkfield born, they don't know his actual birth year, and he lived for a long time, 91 years. Says he was a thoroughbred jockey, says a horse trainer, says from Kentucky, best remember as the last African-American to ride a winner. So he's the last one to ride a winner. So there have been a lot of blacks to ride winners. And so I wonder, it's probably good to do a history on this shit of how did the black jockey end up being phased out of horse riding and shit. So this is this fool. So when you look at that racehorse and shit, you think only white folks is on it. It says Winkfield was blackballed. Okay, here it is. Some other shit. Winkfield was blackballed in the U.S. says after dishonoring a contract to ride for an owner, says by agreeing to ride for a different owner, says, but he was offered a chance to race in Russia, says where he quickly rose to fame. So the Russians allowed this dude to go over there. Says he won the Russian Oak 5 times, says the Russian Derby 4 times, the Tsar Prize, says on 3 occasions, says in the Warsaw Derby, couldn't stop a black motherfucker. And he was banging them broads over there. Salute to this dude. Man, we got to do one on the history of black folks in horse racing. Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that shit. I'm about to get on it. February ain't Black History Month, so you niggas can get that shit rejected out their fucking head. Every day is Black History. And let me see. And that goes into more of my reason. Because my kid was asking the other day, he said, why you didn't tell us it was your birthday? Because they knew my birthday was coming up. I ain't make no fuss out of that shit. It's a regular fucking day to me. And they lightweight mad over that shit. Like, man, you ain't got to buy me shit. You ain't got to do none of that shit. Be yourself. Be great. And let's live every day. Because I rock with every day I'm up. So shit. I ain't got to do all that special shit. I done had enough birthdays. I'm over that kitty shit. Ain't about to be As old as I ain't about to be blowing out no motherfucking candles and none of that shit. Happy birthday is cool to me. And then Steph says in fact after the Civil War, says the Black Regiment, Buffalo Soldiers coined coined from the red men, says where the first park ranger says intended the land. Says I can feel that shit. Says I can feel that shit in my bones. Spirit says when I'm out there hunting. Says conserving the land with GSP dogs. Says what's GSP dogs? Or is that games? What is a GSP? Says says the Prairie God fam. He says, look up famous black cowboy. Says Nat Love. Now I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this horse racing shit. Bill Pickett says, and of course the favorite Bass Reeves. And he says we do. Says I want to hear the black jockey. Says Black history is American history. American history. Blacks all through that motherfucker. And I get tired of hearing people want to diminish black people's importance to this fucking nation. All these goddamn new arriving foreigners who don't know shit and try to undermine that shit, come over with their little wicked twisted shit because they've been dominated for centuries by outside forces in their nations and they're accustomed to being led by wicked twisted people. That's why it's so easy to teach them to be hateful they goddamn selves till you put your foot in their ass. And instead says German short hair point. Oh, okay. Yeah, don't GSP. Only GSP I know is the UFC nigga. Our German short hair pointer says is the breed I own. And he says fuck those posers, says who hate. Absolutely. But folks, that's all I got. I'm out of here on this one. But I enjoyed this topic. I'm gonna keep doing these kind of topics. And that's all I got. Catch you on the next one. But next one, I'm gonna look up that horse racing shit. I'll probably get up on here and want to do the history of the black jockeys. Hell yeah, I'm doing that shit. And then the fact that this black motherfucker, they try to stop who was the last black person to win the Derby or win a major horse race. The fact they blackballed him because he do some contractual shit. The shit you see they try to do anytime a black motherfucker want to go play for this team, move to there, they try to blackball him. So that means within the sport, others try to operate against him, try to work in cohesion with one another to block this fool. He said, "Fuck y'all. I'm gonna go where all you motherfuckers came from. I'm going to Russia. The Russians gonna let me race, and I'm gonna ride their horses and win every fucking thing." And instead says, bro, says we dominated everything. Exactly. And that's why you don't let motherfuckers disrespect your history. Get your disrespect up and your knowledge up. And don't be making up bullshit. Keep history the way it is. Keep it real. Keep it funky. Sometimes history can make you feel bad, but there's always a bright side to it. Because the bright side of history, when they talk slave history, is we fucked your bitches. Ah!